comes the new challenger.
Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Join me at sometime in November 1982.
You should watch our show. I'm Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our full-time job is going to the movies.
So join us this fall for At the Movies, the movie review program.
And I'm Chronologically Gaming. Join us every weekday at 9 p.m. Central. Our very last game we played was Battle of Gettysburg on the Coco, and we're not done. Our very next game is also for the TRS-80 color computer, and this is Beyond the Simian Moon, which, you gotta admit, is a really slick title for any video game. This one doesn't really have a box. I got this advertisement flyer, and I thought maybe I should blow up that really small box down the bottom, because it's pretty epic. It's someone who is wandering the halls of the spaceship, and they're holding up one of the Medusa heads, one of the enemies you fight in the game. But by the time you blow it up, it's not going to look so good. But this is Color Quest, or what will later be known as Color Quest. This one is Nelson's Software Systems, the third game we've seen by this company, bringing us bangers like Vegas Game Pack. But there it is in the bottom left, Beyond the Simian Moon. A dead star, a derelict vessel, or is it? Trapped within, you must venture the corridors, defend yourself against the merciless gauntlet of agents of the machine mind. Wow, the machine mind. Escape to find your way through space, or take over the ship. A real-time, high-res, 3D science fiction adventure game of mind-blowing magnitude. Epic, at least the marketing was. And here's another ad you would have seen, or at least another Color Quest experience ad showing us a few other games that we've seen. And the other ones, there it is, Vegas Game Pack down the bottom left, and a few others that we've seen as well. Other game packs. And then another ad, too. We have not seen Fembot's Revenge. Miss Nibbler, I don't think we've seen Miss Nibbler yet either. But we will be seeing every single game, at least that's possible, with an example of the screenshot right there. Let's pop it and play Beyond the Simian Moon, released at sometime in November 1982. Kevin Herbolt and Tim Nelson. Way to go, Kevin and Tim. Kevin and Tim, this duo, this is the second game we've seen by them. They also did the Adventure Trilogy. This is technically the sequel to Adventure Trilogy, or it was also known as the Adventure 3-Pack. So if you're part of the lore or story, this is the second part of the sequel. All right, let's do this. It should be Simeon, if I spelled Simeon correctly. Oh, it almost sounds like it would be Conan the Barbarian. No, it's a completely different world story. I don't believe there's anything that's related to this game at all. Okay, so the game begins with a timer in the top left of the screen. I believe the timer's there just to keep you on your toes, because we're essentially working within a 3D maze. Everyone look, see? I can move to the right. Oh, there's a door. I can move to the left. So the game begins with us at a dead end. I'm going to back my way out. There. Oh, we have a sliding door sound effect. That's awesome. All right, so and whenever you look down the hallways, take a look at this. It is a 3D maze game, but it's not just a 3D maze game where we're meant to go leave or find our way out. This has elements that have adventure built in with them as well. So it's kind of mixing lots of different things together. Oh gosh, we already have one of the enemies on us. Are they? Oh, they're at the end of the hallway shooting us. Okay, let's... Nope. Go to the end here. I just like the look of this. Okay, can we get... Oh man, we've been killed that fast. Now, I usually provide your first experience playing video games as if you were to, pop it in right now in November 1982. This is your first experience and what most people would have with Beyond the Simian Moon. You will die because if I look at my inventory, that's right, there's a text parser mixed in with this. If you look at your inventory, you are carrying nothing. You start with absolutely nothing, and they do show you your hits and fatigue as stats, but that's about it. You have to go find everything else in the world. I like the way the 3D's done, though. It's not the same as every other 3D we've seen up to this point. All right, I'm ready to leave the inventory screen. Go left. Go back. There we go. Oopie? I don't know what oopie means. All right, let's go back out. Oh, that is, if we can find a gun first. Yeah, that's a good point. Curtis is bringing up Phantom Slayer. I'm a huge fan of Phantom Slayer that we've already seen for the Dragon 32 and the TOR City Color Computer. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to see if we can make our way down the hallways here without getting tagged by one of the Medusas. All right, so get... I don't know what that is. Get item, maybe? No, I don't know what it is. Can I just walk over it and pick it up? Oh, I can. But what's crazy is it has a text parser, and you're meant to be moving around as a 3D maze, but also as sort of like a graphic adventure game. So it's got that going for it as well. It's pretty cool. Oh, I see. So that one's that's marking the top and bottom because this takes place on multiple floors. Let's go into this room. Looks like there's nothing in here. Oh, what? Did it just lock the door on us? No way. You got to be kidding me. What? We just went into one room and the door locked on us and we cannot get out. Does that mean we have to... Do we have to go door? Go door. Can we go door? Oh, it doesn't work. What about open? Open door? Oopie? I don't know what oopie means. But it has a text parser, so you're supposed to be able to interact with it. Yeah, it's not really soft blocked. And yeah, definitely with you there, Curtis, too. It's not an easy game to get into. I do like the aesthetic, the idea of being in a 3D maze environment, but adding on like adventure elements. You have a few stats, and you're supposed to find keys to open up doors. But if you don't have any keys and you don't have any gun, and that's the way the game starts, it's just brutal. Like, look, we're already... I don't even know if I can kill myself. We're stuck in the room. Oh, it's meant to be oops. Okay. Yeah, real cute. Now that we're stuck in the room and can't get out. All right, let me try it again. Open. Can we open door, please? Door. No. Oops, we can't open the door. Darn. Well, that means we have to start the whole game all over again. Can we quit? I don't think we can completely we can't end the game. But I'd like to explore more. I want to get a gun and shoot stuff. When we played Phantom Slayer that we mentioned before, honestly, it's like one of the very first-person shooters because you're able to freely move around, but it starts you with a gun. This one, you have nothing. So it feels more like one of those very brutal adventure games that you see for this part. All right, yeah, so I'll stop there and just go right back in because I want to do one more time, but I have to remind myself when I go into a room, make sure you have a key to get out, or we found a key to get out. What we ended up finding on the floor was one of those markers that lets you know you can go from the top floor to the bottom floor. Simian. The Simian Moon. So this one is what we would refer to as an action 3D maze game. It is not just move yourself from one side of the end of the maze to the other like a puzzle. It's also, adventure elements that are thrown in. But this is the 17th action maze game that we've seen so far on the show. And a lot of ones that are out there, Phantom Slayer is there. We have already something shooting us. We already do. That is so not fair. Oh, brutal. Yep, they're already going to destroy... Oh, look, and there you get a good shot of the enemy, the Medusa. All I got to do is run, because that's all I can do right now. I'll just go as far as I can. But other action 3D maze games that we've seen have been Theseus and the Minotaur that was on the Apple II. Way Out was a visually impressive one. Notice this is going from like flip screening from one thing to another, a little jarring. And this is how you move from floor to floor, going up and down. If we don't die. Yes, and we've been killed. Gosh, brutally difficult. Another one that we played was Transylvanian Tower on the ZX Spectrum. And that one also had a few adventure elements that were thrown in too. All right, can we go again? Yes, we'll keep going. It does kind of look like Star Trek. Yeah, I get those vibes too. I like the look and the way that it's programmed, but man, it's tough. I mean, look at this. We've already started another round, and we're about to die again because you have to move very quickly, find your weapons and items and keys to be able to navigate through the halls. Yeah, we should be able to go up or down on this one. Yeah, that's what it means by the color on the floor, right? And I think, can we say even, does it work like an adventure game where I can say look? Oh, if I don't do the space in between. Oh, and hide in the room? Maybe, oh, if I hide there, maybe the enemy won't come after me. Another really fun one that we played was the 3D Monster Maze, or the one for the ZX81. That was a really fun, fast-moving one, but okay, I think we're okay now. But now, do I want to try a door and get stuck behind the door? I don't know if I want to do it. All right, we're in. Now, can I get out? Yes, I know, there's a wall there. No, and it locked us inside. Oh my gosh, very, very difficult. All right, but you got the idea. Beyond the Simian Moon is not just moving around and the 3D maze. It is incorporating other elements. We just didn't happen to find them here for this showcase of Beyond the Simian Moon. Well, if you're wanting to play something more in the lore of the Adventure Trilogy, well, there you go. Yes, definitely, Curtis, and you do need to map the rooms as if you were to play any other adventure game at the time. So it's got a lot of stuff going for it. I like the sci-fi theme. I like the way the game looks. The way the game plays is actually pretty brisk, moving from room to room, and the full screen display is pretty nice. So of all the games you can play right now across all home computers, it's a rough sell because of the difficulty. You really have to know where you're going and understand the rooms and how they're mapped out before you go in the game. Yeah, very, very hard. But I will say it's still a good time. And honestly, this difficulty of video game is kind of par the course. So I'm actually around the average range for the games you could play across all home computers up to this point. As usual, you got to play it yourself, but I'm looking in the chat and I see some some ratings all over the place. 2.5 stars, 3 stars, mostly average for everything you can play up to this point. I enjoy this one, but Phantom Slayer is really where it's at. So I almost want to go 3.5 stars. And but because Phantom Slayer was so high on the list, I'll just say 3. It's an average game for all the games you could play right now across all home computers. It should be more, though. I really want this to be better than it is. Yeah, a good game, definitely. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is. We're next going to play Bazaar on the Apple II. Let's check it out. Here's the box for Bazaar. Oh, wow. Well done, front of the box. Usually we don't get this kind of quality for computer game boxes. If you can't read the front of the box, it's because you're not supposed to. This game was apparently developed by aliens. It was intercepted by the programmers at Southwestern Data Systems, who were able to translate the game to work on Apple II computers, but were unable to convert the game text into English. In this game, the aliens are understandably depicted in the protagonist role as they show their invasion of Earth. So we kind of get to play as the villain, I guess, a little bit in the game. Yeah, all the text, even the word bizarre isn't really real text. You flip it over the back and there you go. The alien's holding an Apple II joystick. That's so cool. It does kind of look like wingdings. What else do we have for artwork for Bazaar? Can you even see if it's bizarre? You can't. I don't even know if they would use it for the marketing for this. So this was Southwest Data Systems, the very first and I think the only game they've ever done. This is our 417th game we've seen on the Apple II up to this point. And this one was done, there was an ad you would have seen for magazines at the time. This was done by John Besnard, the fourth game that we've seen by him. He did Bez MX, Bezman, Bez Off, and so Bizarre would be an obvious next game that we play. And he's pretty bizarre himself. He's done some pretty whacked out crazy games, and I like it. There we go. And there's the 5 1/4 floppy disk that we're going to play on our Apple II. I like it when we can find something like that. And an example of the screenshot. Let's pop it and play Bizarre. This is John Besnard at sometime in November 1982. Bring us there. Yes. Software purveyors of the Milky Way galaxy. Very cool. So it's already getting an otherworldly vibe. We just start with some beeps and bloops. Now this apparently is the ship that's going to invade Earth or start the invasion. We get to play as the aliens. That's awesome. And everything that you're seeing on the screen, I can't translate either. I don't think anyone has. It's all meant to give you the idea that an alien made the game. All right, why hasn't he done Berserk? Good point, GSE stream. Yeah, it's just funny that they even put this in. He spent the time to put all this text in when you can't train. It doesn't mean anything. It's just to make you feel like... I like it. All right, so I think we should be able to just go in and play, right? Yeah, putting joystick button works great. Okay, there we go. We're the alien. We're actually holding the missile, moving freely, well, not totally freely around. This is kind of weird. The way that I'm holding the missile and dropping it, the alien can move up to the top of the screen, but it's almost like my control is reversed from Centipede, where Centipede gave you a little freedom at the bottom of the screen. This one just gives me, look, this little bit of freedom at the top of the screen. But I meant to drop the missiles before their spacecraft come at me. Looks like space shuttles. This makes me feel like I'm playing Reverse Kaboom or Avalanche. I'm dropping things down to keep them from getting to the top of the screen. That's really funny. But the other thing that's interesting is this first round of the game continues like this forever. Also, did you notice in the bottom, the bottom left has the text that we can't decipher, but they're also giving us a score that we can't decipher. So this game is being scored by aliens too. Not even our score system would work. But as soon as anything reaches the top like that, then you go to the next scene. So the first scene just goes on forever. You just keep amassing more points, even though the points are from an alien race. And now we move on to the next screen. Check this out. You can go to the top, you grab a missile, and you can use that to drop down on the tanks. So it's like our ammo is up at the top, and we can drop things down. We can also pick up and drop the mines for them to run across. So I can pick up and drop that one. Oh, I better hurry. We're not going to be on this scene very long if I don't go fast. So, interesting, quaint idea. We haven't seen anything quite like it, but it is still very simplistic if you think of as far as shooters go, because I don't have a lot of firepower. I have to go and pick up my ammo and then use that ammo. But on this scene, I do have the freedom to move around a lot more. Can I pick up... No, once you drop one of the mines to get the tanks, that's it. So be sure you place them in strategic ways. Yeah, I like how they mix it up too. Any video game that has not just the same scene right now is a plus. Considering we played plenty of games that it's what you see is what you get. You gotta wait a little bit longer now for some of the games that we get on home computers. So very fun still. And just like the other scene, this one will continue forever. You will be amassing alien points until you make the mistake, and then it'll go on to, I think there's another scene, or this might be it. We might just have two. Oh, this might be it though, right here. No, doing pretty good because my ammo keeps resetting. That's pretty cool. So yeah, analog joystick controlled is great. It's on the Apple II, being able to give us this feeling of a different kind of shooter, because it's still essentially a fixed shooter. Oh, we actually fired a shot that time. I didn't know you could do that. Can I touch him? Oh, I can. But when we reach the top, that's it. And I think we run off, right? Yeah, there it is. And what you experienced is essentially the game. I think it's giving us our score. Can everyone read that? No, you can't because it's alien score. I like the video games where we get to portray as the villain instead of just an alien like we were when we played E.T. But yeah, there we go. And then the game repeats ad nauseum after that. What a weird shooter, though. It's still doing something different. It is bizarre, but it's not really as bizarre as you'd think for everything else that's out there. I like it. So of all the games you could play right now on all home computers, Bizarre is an interesting one. There's a few things that they've done where I could say, yeah, it's about above average for all the games you could play up to this point. But we have played other games that have multiple scenes that are doing something even more than this, more bizarre. While it's different, it's not different in a good way. Like, I don't want more games to play like this or shooters like this. Yeah, right? Yeah, I say creative, yeah, but still a 3. Lots of 3s out there for fairly average for everything you can see up to this point. And I'm there too. 3 stars of all the games on all computers right now. It's pretty average. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is. We're next going to Japan to play on the brand new Sword M5. This is Bosconian. I am so excited to play some Bosconian. Here's the box. This is the Bosconian we originally saw in the arcades in November 1981. And at this point, we've played about 4 games that are variants of Bosconian. Moon War, Star Maze, Spider Invasion, and Time Pilot. In other words, games that allow you to freely move around. It's a shoot 'em up that can scroll in all directions, and it lets you fire freely. And usually you have a mini-map possibly, but they include all that. So this one is the second game we've seen on the Sword M5. The front of this box is kind of like the same for the first one, but very sci-fi-ish. Actually, you can't tell it's Bosconian unless you really know the main base that they're showing in the front. But that's pretty cool, right? Oh, really? Bosconian Empire from that? I wonder if they took it from this one. I don't believe we have any other information. Yeah, we got the cartridge that we're going to pop into the Sword M5 with an example of the screenshot. But no manuals. We're going in blind. Here's Bosconian. Developed by Namco, brought to us for the Sword M5 at some time in November 1982. This is the very first time you could get an official port of Bosconian at home. Everything else I've mentioned is, variants of Bosconian or the arcade itself, and that's it. All right, let's go in. Push number 1. Man, we're hearing some great tunes from this computer. And yes, Takara is the publisher. All right, so the first thing is, yes, it looks like the ship of Bosconian from the arcade game. It feels like I'm playing a Bosconian just a little bit but you also notice that they're using very limited resources of the system because I can barely tell that I'm scrolling. All right, let's see if it has the same thing where I can shoot right in the right spot to blow up the base. Oh man, they got me. But sound effects are really good. I think it's just because this computer's going to give us some good tunes. We also have the radar right by my face, and you can tell where to go for the bases to blow them up. But I mean, look at the choppy scrolling for the base. It does work, yes. If you shoot it down the small shaft in the middle, then you can blow the whole base up. Just like in Star Wars. But you can see what I mean. Look at the way that I don't think the system was made to scroll, or it's possible that the developers at Namco, if it was done in-house, were just getting used to the system because you can tell it's very, very choppy, very a little unhinged, if you will. All right, we now got 4 bases to blow up. I'm following the radar, and what you did in Bosconian is you wanted to blow up as many bases as you could. Yikes, they got homing missiles though. We made it to round 2. There we go. And to my knowledge, Takara is going to be the one that's going to publish most of the games for the Sword M5. Yeah, so bizarre how they did that. It's almost like, I think they're just tricking our minds into thinking we're scrolling freely because we only have the radar, but it's really not like we're scrolling freely. They're just generating the characters on the screen as we come to them. Oh, I'm already with you there, Kun. Yeah, it feels like Dig Dug was a more polished game, at least representing the arcade game. This one is not really representing Bosconian as well. When I mentioned those variants we played, one that comes to mind on the Apple II, Star Maze. That plays way better than this one for home computers. At least having the freedom to move around. I mean, look at that. Look at how the bass moves. But you can tell the sound on this is excellent. I bet that's our game over, right? Yeah, there it is. Sweet. So this one is Namco's 31st game that we've seen on Chronologically Gaming, and that's on all systems all over the world. In the arcade, they brought us things like Galaxian, King and Balloon, Pac-Man, Rally X, Galaga, Pole Position, and of course Bosconian. And we've seen all those games in the arcade. Oh, Super Pac-Man too. I'm not going to bring up the Midway Pac-Mans because Namco wasn't involved with those. Midway thought, hey, I got the license to do Pac-Man, so we can do whatever we want with Pac-Man. That's not true. And then on the Commodore VIC-20, Namco's done games like Jelly Monsters, which was Pac-Man, and then they also brought Rally X to the Commodore VIC-20. Atari has Pac-Man, they just had the license for it. Atari 2600 and the Atari 800. So Namco is there, but their presence at home isn't as big. So this is kind of cool that we're getting a Namco-made game at home. I love it. But this one isn't necessarily as good or polished as what we saw with Dig Dug. I would just sum it up Bosconian like this. Bosconian is like a mix between Rally X, because the freedom to move around following a radar, but you also have a shot that's kind of similar to Vanguard. So it's like a little elements of Vanguard, little elements of Rally X. I mean, think about it. Rally X, even though it was a car that was driving, you know, whether you're driving a car or able to shoot like this, it's kind of the same freedom of movement, at least. All right, we'll head down south next after this. Yeah, way to go, Namco, right? Yeah, we've also seen Galaxian, that's been at the Atari 5200 and the Atari home computer. Up to this point, games that play like this, allowing you to shoot, we call them multi-directional shooters, and then the shoot-'em-up element is already out there. We already mentioned Time Pilot is in arcades right now, but you also can get games like Gravatar is kind of where it makes me think of. But Gravatar is a whole new beast that's doing something even more than Bosconian would do. So yeah, it's still a good play, but after playing Dig Dug and seeing that on the computer, this one I would rather have that game than this. If you twisted my arm. Yeah, right. It's still impressive though. Sword in 5 is pretty good. Yeah. No, blow it up. Yes. Yes, you still have a good time with this one. Alright, so there you go. There's our taste of Bosconian for the Sword M5. It's pretty good. Of all the games you could play right now on all home computers, though, it doesn't really live up to other shooters. It is true this is the first time we've ever seen Bosconian at home, but there's other shooters that are more enjoyable and doing it better than a Bosconian. So looking over the chat, I actually see a couple of 3 stars, which is, again, average. It'd be a very average night if all our games were 3 stars. I don't know if I can go exactly 3. I'd still say this is above average because it's trying to do something more with the scrolling, and it is newer for the system. You know, the Sword M5. Yeah, 3s. Yeah, actually, the chat's mostly 3. I'm actually going to go 1 more. I'll say 3.5 for Bosconian. It still delivers as far as a shooter, and you'd have a very good time playing it. But kind of like I said with Dig Dug had no frills, no thrills. It was surviving on just Dig Dug itself. This game, it really isn't surviving on Bosconian because it's different. It's not exactly like Bosconian. So it doesn't really get as high of points. But still, I'd say 3.5 stars for everything you could play right now on all home computers. It's still pretty good. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is. Next, we're going to the United States to play on the Emerson Arcadia 2001. I'm sure this was available in other regions as well. This is Capture. Let's check out Capture. Here we go. 3D box. Yes, give us the box. What in the world? They're trying to do it Atari did with their Othello version, but it's not nearly as classy, and that's got some crazy eyes on the front staring at us. You flip it over the back. Yeah, 1 or 2 players, 2 controller overlay guide players try to beat the computer and play against an opponent, or take the time handicap. For all the family. Everyone in the family can play. What else do we have for capture? Not to be confused with capture on the Commodore PET. There was 2 games called capture for the Commodore PET, or capture for the TRS-80. There was 3 games for the TRS-80. This one is only for the Emerson Arcadia 2001, or whatever name and whatever region you're on. And it's the 22nd game that we've seen for the Arcadia 2001. It was the Bandai Arcadia if it was in Japan. Here's the manual for capture. Oh, they already ruined it. There it is. It's Othello. See, this one is actually pretty good in a different region. I think this might have been from Australia, the artwork that we have in the manual here. Tell us how to play. Othello. That's right, Othello. Either Reversi or Othello. This is the 25th game that we played. That's Reversi or Othello. How do you play? Well, you outflank your opponent. It's a cunning game of logic for 1 or 2 players. 6 levels of difficulty. The game objective is score points. Haven't heard that one before. By capturing as many squares as possible. It did look like gambling, right? But I don't think so. We did play a game called Katina that was on the APF MP 1000 home console. You put your cartridge in. Excellent. All right, hand controllers. You got to have the overlay. Put the capture inlay plates onto the remote hand controller. The joysticks are not used in this game. The joysticks are not used. Another game on the Emerson Arcadia 2001, they don't use the joysticks? No wonder this console failed. This is not the first time. You're going to be moving by pushing buttons. That's just terrible. See, they should have been listening to what Atari had done. You go through the game selection screen, and you can do a time limit or not a time limit, and then select difficulty. And if you select game mode 6, I believe you can play against a friend instead of the computer playing with you. Yeah, there you go. It's breaking down all the different levels and what it means to play, and the rules if you're not familiar with Reversi or Othello. There. Oh, and giving us strategies and tips. Wow, so fancy. Game tactics. Love it. And then the game ends when, you capture the most pieces on the board. And they did this too. We've seen the operation flow diagram. I like that. All right, let's pop in and play Capture. This is by Emerson at some time in November 1982. Fun for the whole family. So Othello's been on so many different things. I don't even know how to describe how many Othellos we've seen. We played Othello 18 times on home computers. On consoles, we played it 7. This is the 7th a console version of Othello or Reversi. So we can pick between levels 1 through 6, just like that, or we can go, there it is. We can set a time limit if we want to. I'm not going to set the time limit. Let's just go in the game and play. Now, remember, I'm moving the joystick. Absolutely nothing happens. If you had this game on the Arcadia 2001, you would wiggle the joystick and nothing would happen. You have to do key presses to move around. So I can't believe I'm having to push down on the keypad to move myself around when the joystick doesn't do anything. That right there is just terrible. And then there we go, and I can capture the pieces, and then the computer's going to think for a little bit and do its turn. Yeah, we've played Reversi and Othello. I'm not really going to play that long, but you get the premise. But man, why did they implement it this way? You have a joystick, and they even have the cursor that moves around the screen, but I have no idea why they did that. We've already seen Othello, that Atari 2600 version, and I would say that one's still excellent as far as a console one. Still, right now, compared to this, yeah, definitely. And it's true, Othello is simpler than Go. It's not going to be that complex. We saw that on the Apple II, I believe. But then other consoles have had their versions of Reversi and Othello. Like we saw the Magnavox Odyssey 2 had Samurai. Philips Videopack had Dynasty. And then Reversi was also out there. Katina, Intelligence 4 on the Interton VC 4000 also had their games. So I would say I'm going to have to rate this against all Othello that we've ever played, not just the Othello that you could play on home consoles. Like this version of Othello is, when you think of all the Othello everywhere, I'd say this is not as bad as Flipello or Othello that we played on IBM computers. That was already that's pretty bad. It's not that bad, but this version, because of the controls, it's low. I'm going to have to go 2 of all the games you could play. I'm mean, even if you wanted to play a good game of Othello, there's better ones out there. So that's bad of all the games you could play. Yeah, 2 to 2.5. It's why would you not program the joystick in? It makes no sense whatsoever. All right, that's where we got to put our video game playing on pause. Or hit the break key. Don't poke the computer anymore. It's time for us to quit this evening. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, a brand new game that we just played for the Emerson Arcadia 2001. It doesn't really make us want to go out and buy that console. I'd rather have the Atari. We're going to have an avalanche of games for the Coco. And we are getting slippery in the arcade because there are bubbles everywhere. That's it for today, and like I always say, forget the instructions and go right for the joystick. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.